Hello and welcome to this live code hangout. Today we're going to work on Finntegrate, a Finnish integration project to help people immigrate and sort of naturalize and find our community and needs in Finland. Here's actually the website, Making Finnish Integration Simpler. And it's looking at the immigration process from the needs of the immigrants directly, rather than the perspective of the services and institutions that are in charge of various things like your Finnish identity and health and well-being. There's a lot of information, but it's kind of scattered and not essentially you have to find it via keywords that people might not know. So we want to build a multi-agent conversational interface to these services, such as the tax service and employment services and migration services and identity service and health and well-being and municipal governments. You know, each of them have their own information portals. This is health service here. This is social benefits. They have their own information portals. The content is usually in Finnish or Swedish, the national languages, sometimes English because it's an international auxiliary language. But still, even then, you need to know which website to go to and what keywords to use to start to get answers. It's not so natural. We'd like to provide a natural language multilingual support agent that integrates these official documentation sources and kind of remembers the conversation and unifies these public sources of information. So not getting into private or protected information, just what's out there on the web already. So this is our idea, and we're calling it Tapio. And the overall initiative is called Finntegrate, and it's so targeted towards Finland immigrants. So here's our website. And looking at some higher level concepts for knowledge aggregation and searching, such as like these knowledge graph idea, but that's more advanced. Right now, we're going to kind of keep things pretty, I say simple, but we're dealing with some pretty interesting and kind of modern tools like large language models. So right now I'm just working with our knowledge base. Small feature real quick. For designers, we'll have visual identity guidelines, and I'm just creating color palette and persona colors for our main personas. Tapio is the primary orchestrator. And for each of these persona colors, or each of these color chips, I wanted to have an expanding section that gives the designer the exact hex or RGB values. This currently on our knowledge base, they're all sort of open by default, and it's taking up a lot of space. So you have to scroll pretty far. So I think that when we collapse them by default, the page is shorter and it shows you the most important thing, and then if you need that detail, you can get that. I can't get rid of this gap here. On this page, the gap is not there, but I've really tried and tried and tried. I'm going to try one more time. Now that I'm using this simple browser inside of VS Code, I can select an element. I think it should work. Selecting the element and send it to chat. All right, so it's a small deal, and I just want to actually get to the pull request review because I can show this just for what it's worth. The color info appears here, and it ends, so there's a gap, and it's like the color grid is behind it. Curiosity, I wonder if I can get rid of the color grid or just look at the color grid. Problem either. Yeah, so it's just a detail that I'm not really understanding how to fix. There was some offset or something like that, pushing it down. It's not a big deal, and it's pretty clear that this expands out of that, so I think people can figure it out. It just looks a little bit better, cleaner when it's connected. But in our pull request, we have CodeRabbit AI has been assisting us and has made some suggestions we can check out. So Aria is an interesting suggestion here. for screen reader users. So let's just go with it. I don't have to sort of think too hard about that rationale for ARIA support. I think as a default, it should just be there. I guess it just keeps the ARIA content from getting cluttered by hiding this span. Makes sense. And okay, so it'll dynamically set the ARIA attribute. Very good. And I think so then if I hop back over here and verify that, ARIA controls that, expanded as true, and expanded as false. Very cool. Good stuff at ARIA. So then let's check over here. Other nitpicks. Okay, no, it's not the same source. Well implemented expansion behavior with z-index management. The max height transition creates a smooth animation effect, and the z-index handling ensures the expanded ships remain visible above others. Consider adding a comment explaining the z-index strategy. I see. Well, it sort of is there. Well-structured JavaScript for handling expanding collapsing functionality. The script properly handles the toggle behavior and ensures expanded content is visible in the viewport. Consider these improvements. Update ARIA attributes to match the expanded state. Use more robust typing. This should be possible with Astro. Or in general, these annotations are just, I think they're just discarded. So you can add them even in plain JavaScript. Let's find out. Adjust the timing approach for report checking. Use request animation frame instead of set timeout for better timing. Okay. Those are 3 suggestions. Let's see what Claude thinks of those. And we'll just use the same chat because it's already done some work on the ARIA details. The chat history helps. Okay, so we've got now a variable to toggle that. No, we had that before. So we're not going to toggle that directly now. Change to directly capture the return value of classes. Toggle expanded to avoid a second DOM check with the classes contained. Okay. All right. Yeah. So that makes sense. Why? Yeah. We get the output of that. So instead of just doing that, now we're actually capturing that. That makes sense. Okay. So we're still doing it. Okay. Yeah. The expanded still works there. So functionally, as an end user, I don't see much of a difference here. It's just a little bit more concise code and probably using better browser API. And we have some better typing. I like it. Okay, I think those are the nitpick arguments. I'm gonna try this battle one more time with this black gap. There's a couple of things with the layout here of this color info in particular, but the grid that are bothering me. One is that this element, this expanding element, the color info div, color details, isn't containing its children. Okay, so the color details, the color info is spilling, the padding of the color detail of the color info is kind of spilling out of the color details. I'm not sure exactly how to prompt that. There it is. There's the gap. Color details, margin top. Gosh, I just totally missed that. I don't necessarily need that space, but a smaller space could be good. I want actually 0 space, no space at all. That was it the whole time. Good grief. I like it. It's cleaner that way. It's like coming out of there. Nice. Alrighty then. I'm glad I looked at that again. This other issue is not so big of a deal, but the text here is coming right up against the bottom of this color info panel. So I think this is, you can see it's actually spilling out below it a little bit. And it's essentially, I'm not sure what it's constrained by, if it's constrained by the grid, but basically the color info, at least the padding is coming out of the color details panel. So let's see if we can fix that. when the color chip, where it's getting expanded, when the color preview is expanded, the color details, the color info extends beyond the bottom boundary of the color. I'm wondering why do we need both of those? So I'm just wondering if the color info is a little bit redundant in this case, because info and details are kind of synonymous, and we just want to display a few child elements. I don't know. Margin top and color details. I'm going to have to just, because that was also creating confusion, to be honest. I was looking at this color info over and over, and I couldn't get it to work, and I just, for whatever reason, wasn't noticing the color detail. So less is more in general, less confusing. And having less things is less confusing. It's easier to work with. So I'm going to run this, and I'll take a quick break and be right back. Okay, got some progress. So let's see. Claude has simplified the component structure and fixed the overflow issue by removing the redundant color info container and eliminating unnecessary nesting, which streamlines the HTML structure and placed all color value elements directly inside the color details. That makes sense because they are. It's the color details. Let's just hop over and test it real quick, vibe code style. So now we've got click color chip. So color grid has multiple color chips. Each color chip has color preview at the top and color details at the bottom. Now, and then inside the color details, we have the hex code and etc. Yeah, this is better. Better markup. Very cool. Now I can just zero in and be like, okay, now the only other thing that's happening is yada yada, which is that this paragraph, the div has purple. What's purple? It's telling me something. What does the purple mean? I think the purple means that the elements are displaying incorrectly, or there's some like a collision warning. They're colliding with padding in this case. So yeah, the markup is looking good. That's a good change. When hovering over the, let's see, now what does purple mean? It's a bit confusing. It's not a big deal. This is already a good improvement, but if I can, I'd like for that to be not so much on the against the bottom. These little details, it's sometimes worth fighting the details. So essentially our color details now, when expanded, the paragraph goes against the bottom. There's a purple rectangle. The color description, purple. I don't understand why Twitch can't just block Stream Boot. It's such an easy target. It has the same message. Streamboot.com, remove the space. They could just say Stream Boot that's just hitting the domain so much, all the chats. It's very easy to filter that out. But as a Twitch streamer, I'm not in a position to kind of influence their content moderation decisions. So it says the color description paragraph lacks proper margin at the bottom and causing it to encroach into the padding area of color details container when expanded. All right, let's see. Interesting. Oops. It's still doing it. This is a bit of a mystery. No, it's not really working. This is where the vibe coding bites back because I'm not familiar enough with all this kind of complicated layout. And what does the purple hatched area mean? It's like where the browser is doing layout. The color description is still extending beyond. So it's just not extending beyond, or it's not expanding to contain the color. With the child elements, I would say that's probably not about this being a paragraph. It's last child, so that's cool. Added it to the last child here. Color detail. The issue max height setting on the expanded container appears to be insufficient to fully contain the content plus padding. Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't check that with other. Oh no, now we lost our mutually exclusive thing. Oh, but that actually worked. That was the deal. Nice. So now we probably don't need this additional margin. I think that's a bit excessive. It was like, I want to try. Yeah, interestingly, the padding kind of animates in. Weird. It's like breathing. So we will remove that. The padding is easing in. I don't think we need that. It looks kind of weird. I can see the appeal in some context. This border box default, I think that's a good setting, and that should be almost the default on the web, that the sizing starts at the border, which is the outmost element, isn't it? Oh no, it's not. The margin, oh, well, it's sort of what we see as the outermost element. The margin is outside of the element. Okay, we'll do that. Just a little bigger max height. I'll save this to get the animation to stop. There we go. Ugh. It glitches. Gosh. I can see why I did the animation then. So actually, I think the problem is just this padding needs to always be there. On the color details. Whoops. Padding. Shoot. That's easy to fix, just undo, but that works. But then... Huh. This is an improvement. The problem is when adding padding, I don't understand why the whole grid collapses. This is weird. It might be because we switched to the new layout method. I just don't like this jump when collapsing. That's fine. But now it immediately jumps because it removed the transition. So instead of easing in, it's just showing and hiding. Interesting. Now we have this other bug. God, this is just... Yeah, because when we were opening multiple, there's this overlap, this Z index. This is why kind of unit tests are important. The problem is this would need to be a browser-based test, and I don't have kind of Selenium or anything set up. It's such a small amount of code that's sort of managing the visibility and state. Now we have a couple more dozen lines of code. At this point, I think I should just call it good. It's just abrupt. This is a documentation portal, so it's not like a feature. This is going to be referenced very infrequently while designing the avatar, so I have to keep that in mind too. I mean, it's working right now, so like I'm committing these changes, and I think this last request hopefully will be sufficient. These are, though, important, some of these features, because when we had two of them open, it wasn't allowing this. Now we're back to a little bit smoother, and things are rendering correctly. Okay. It looks just a little bit better. Vibe coding, though, is like, it would take me a lot longer to figure this stuff out than the vibe coding approach, but it is a bit, and I have a basic background in web development, so luckily I have some kind of context and good browser tools, but it's a bit mysterious. So now it's essentially when expanded, the max height, opacity, and padding are eased in. I just don't see a difference in the max height, but perhaps that's, our toggle is only on the opacity, I thought. Anyway, it's working, so that's, I'm glad. Add smooth transitions. So our opacity is 1, max height's 300 pixels. Oh, and here max height's 0. Okay. No need, of course. So the default state is to have max height of 0, collapsing it and making it also opaque or transparent. So yeah, it kind of ghosts in. That's kind of nice. I like it. Now we've got a color chip for our documentation site. Push those changes up, merge it. We're going to get to the actual coding soon. I have to decide what we're going to work on today, but I think there's a couple of things. There's a bug in our content parser where it's not actually detecting the correct files, and some simplifications I need to make to our CLI that's controlling the crawler and the parser and the vectorizer for our actual project, where we're building this retrieval augmented generation agent, chat agent for helping people with practical tasks and navigating the Finnish immigration landscape. Let's go ahead and just get this merged though. We'll run that. Check. It's a relatively small pull request, but I was working on this for about an hour or so, the other day. Let's get the initial. There's a couple of hours just to make the improvement on, I guess, on the color chip to take up less visual space and offer the details on demand. TypeScript syntax issue in Astro component. This HTML element annotation might not work correctly in Astro's client-side scripts. Astro processes these scripts differently than standard TypeScript files. Remove the TypeScript annotation for better compatibility. Okay. This context will still be correctly typed as HTML due to event listener binding. Okay. That's an advanced thing catch. Well, my IDE is warning me. I'm not sure who to believe, The has pseudo class has limited browser support, not supported in Firefox. Older versions of Firefox and Safari, the new IE. This could cause z-index stacking to fail in older browsers. This also may be redundant. Hey, Agent Chronicles, welcome to the chat. I'm wondering if I could just remove this approach, because all we're doing is ensuring the actively expanded chip is on top, but we only have one expanded chip at any given time. I think this was actually to keep it from, oops, that's the current one, appearing behind the color chips below it. So let me double check this. If I just comment this out, we may not need this line. It doesn't work at all. So yeah, it's something. All right, we're going to leave it. And the question is also, do I need to support, Safari less than 15 and Firefox less than 122 on, let's see, Firefox. What's the latest version? Get Firefox 138, kind of recent. I'll leave it in. Okay. Well, here's a big comment. Consider adding keyboard accessibility. Yeah. When implementing is solid. While implementation is solid, the expandable functionality is only accessible via mouse clicks. Consider adding keyboard support for accessibility compliance. This I'll do. It's only a documentation site, but I just want to get in the habit of having good accessibility support in everything we do. So let's clear out the conversation history and just current file. Looks good. Yes. Interesting. Yeah, I haven't tested kind of navigating this document. Close that via keyboard. But it's actually these, when I'm tabbing through the document, only the anchors are visible. I'm not even able to get into the color chips. There we go. Skip to content. There we go. Now I'm gonna. Yeah, so this is good keyboard navigation and menu. But yeah, only now we're able to get into there. Oops. Skip to content. That's nice. Enter that. Spacebar. No. So I'm able to actually tab to the, let me get specific, color preview. So I want to actually make sure that it works. Once I've got the color preview targeted with my keyboard navigation, what do I need to do? So skip to content works. And here I am on the chip. Spacebar, no. Okay, still working on it. Looking at the code, there's correct keyboard accessibility, tab index, and roll button. There's an issue with the placement of the keyboard event listener. Keyboard event listener is currently placed inside the click event handler, which means it gets registered only when a click event occurs. This is why you can only tab to the color preview, but not activate with keyboard shortcuts. Interesting. So here we're going to add the listener for key down on all of the color previews. If it's enter, okay, so it'll fire a click event. Okay, nice. So essentially once the DOM content is loaded, it's going to add this event listener for keyboard navigation. Oh, it's fixing some kind of error. Still working on it. I kind of like this way of coding because I'm not very familiar with all of these APIs, and even the syntax sometimes can be confusing. This would take me hours or sometimes maybe days to learn. And having good tooling supporting this process, even just from having inline MDN references, Mozilla Developer Network, as well as having an agent that knows these APIs very well, it puts me in a position where I can learn quite a lot and kind of step back and steer, I need this behavior or that, without having to get so bogged down. There it goes, it's working in all these APIs. It just works. And let me double check here. Okay, so it can collapse that, but not navigate into it. Do I need to navigate into it? I don't think so. From a keyboard navigability standpoint, this is about giving people the ability to interact with the page via keyboard and not necessarily, and then the screen reader could read that in general, this separately. I can't get into the child elements, but it's visible. I think that's what matters. Yeah, keyboard navigation is about people who can't work with a mouse can still interact with all the interactive elements. Now keyboard accessibility will work correctly. You can now expand the color strip when focused with the enter key. Spacebar will also trigger the click handler. Okay, that's cool. So we'll go to the main content again. And spacebar. Looks good. I like that. Okay, nice touch. Let me double check in our pull request. So yeah, this was a good refactor suggestion from CodeRabbit AI. It's actually catching some really good high-level concerns, like kind of a human level attention to the pull request and not just like lint. So let's push these up. So where are we at? Almost 2 hours in. I need to eat lunch. I didn't quite get to sort of the main project here. We're going to work on our Tapio project ASAP and actually continue actually building this generative AI agent. But in order to have a functional agent, we need to Tapio. We need to give it some context. It's one thing to chat with an agent and ask it questions about general concerns in migrating to Finland, immigrating to Finland. But we want to feed this agent some more up-to-date and specific information from these official sources. So to that end, we've got a crawler that will go and visit the websites for the specific Finnish agencies. We've identified here Kela, Vero, TE services, Migri, etc. The health services in cities and migration service and job and employment and tax and Social Security Administration. And we want to be able to chat with those sources. So we need to take the crawled website data, parse this to kind of a low-level text format, markdown specifically, and vectorize this into a database like ChromaDB for retrieval, augmented generation in our chat model, which is based on Gradio. This is what I'm going to continue working on, but I need to have a quick lunch break. And it's basically working. I have a bug though in our parser I need to fix, and then I want to simplify the code so that it's more maintainable, basically. Got some red squiggles. I hate these red squiggles. They're good though, teaching me. Property key does not exist on type of event TypeScript. It does apparently because it's actually working. I think what it is this event is not typed. We need to add a better type annotation here. And this implicitize any type because it does not have a type annotation. All right. Well, we've got a good code review and we've made some important changes for accessibility. I'll keep this one in mind. When was Safari 15.4 released? 2022, less than, so since that release it's had support. 2023 is a bit more recent, so basically 2024. So this is interesting. Baseline 2023. So I think we would choose what baseline we want to support. Baseline 2023. Since December 2023, this feature works across latest devices and browsers versions. This feature might not work in older devices or browsers. Okay. So yeah, that's something we can think about later. It's a documentation site, but I think a 2023 baseline is reasonable to include this feature. And we can use this feature. Nice. Very cool. All right. Well, I think we're good. We've got a green check. I've gone through the code rabbit. Multiple color chips shouldn't have the same name. This is very unlikely. That could actually be meaningful. And gracefully, essentially, because there's not much we can do if these conditions aren't met, and it shouldn't like bork the page or cause other, elements to fail to render or something. So that's a good suggestion. All right. Yeah, this CodeRabbit AI is really good. It's one of the best, if not the best, pull request review agent that I've experimented with. It may be free for open source. I don't know. Right now I'm in a free trial. And it goes to 20 euros a month per repository, per organization, I guess. But it really has given such meaningful feedback that I can see the value, especially if you're a company and can afford this type of an agent. It's like non-trivial stuff that it's pointing out often. It calls some of them nitpicks, but usually it'll catch some pretty interesting stuff like this browser compatibility suggestion. These are nitpick, but I think, error handling is a good practice. And some languages are even treating errors as values, so you absolutely have to handle those. Or here we're just essentially making sure our conditions are met and warning if not. Has pseudo class, TypeScript annotations. I think I'll leave those in. They seem to be working fine. And we've got the green arrow. So let's go ahead and merge this pull request. Nice. It should automatically delete the branch. As far as I recall, I've configured that to automatically delete the head branch. There it goes. It deleted it and now we'll continue the CI pipeline to deploy to GitHub pages, and it'll appear in our documentation website that is linked to from our main website. You can get to the docs here, docs.finntegrate.org, directly from finntegrate.org or from our GitHub repo. So we'll close that. And look at our visual identity guidelines in a moment. There we go. Looks like it deployed very fast. Green check mark. Now we have our new visual indicators, and I can, navigate from the keyboard. It's looking great. Here we go. So if you'd like to check out the docs, here they are. This has been another live code hangout where we're working on yet another project. I know I do a lot of these projects for Finnish immigrants, the Finntegrate project, making Finnish immigration simpler. If you'd like to get involved, we're open source on GitHub. We have our knowledge base, which contains some project charter, some branding guidelines, as well as our kind of research we're conducting with deep research agents and assistants to know what are the information sources in the Finnish immigration ecosystem, and how accessible are those, or what are the challenges immigrants face, as well as some technology deep dives. We're using retrieval augmented generation, so we want to see what are the kind of approaches we can take. We're using a very simplistic approach. We may want to expand on that. We're seeing the role of large language models to foster or facilitate language learning, and also how to build knowledge graphs to have another level of abstraction from the raw material and content that we're able to crawl and extract from the official data sources that might improve our retrieval results, for example, from these data sources here. All right, well, thank you for your time. I hope you're doing well and have a great day.